in Registan, the center of Samarkand. Samarkand, the center of the great Silk Roads. The Silk Roads, the center of the Eurasian steppe, and the Eurasian steppe, the center of human history. We're in an absolutely remarkable place. Remarkable for its beauty, its splendor, its flourishing of architecture, of artistry, and of knowledge, and its remarkable role in history. Now, Registan is a central part of Samarkand, and Samarkand for 2,000 years was the central stop of the great east-west trade. If one looks at the Eurasian steppes stretching 8,000 kilometers from the Hungarian grasslands to the East Asian grasslands, Samarkand is in the middle. And this meant that this was a great center, a great trading entrepot, a great meeting point of cultures of East and West, and in fact, also North and South. And Registan, this place, fills all of that role in this magnificent set of three great madrasas in this central square. The name Registan means the sandy place or the dry place because a river once went by here and the river was diverted and this place turned into a sandy place, hence the name. And it was a central meeting place, a marketplace for hundreds of years in Samarkand as trade across the Silk Roads flourished. And remember, the Silk Roads, the dynamic highway of long-distance trade from the Han Empire, Roman Empire period of the 1st century BC up until 1500 and even later. So Samarkand had its meeting place, its marketplace, its caravanserai, where the caravans would stop and rest and water their horses and their camels, and where trade and commerce would flourish. To understand how these three great madrasas arose in this magnificent place, we should understand a bit about the long history of the control over the Eurasian steppe lands. And to do that, we should start about 1,500 years before the construction of this madrasa over my shoulder. Because it was around 1,500 years before this that a great nomadic pastoralist kingdom controlled much of the eastern part of the Eurasian steppe land. And that is the Xiongnu dynasty or Xiongnu confederation, one can say, of nomadic pastoralists in the eastern part of the steppe lands. These were nomadic horse riding warrior groups that controlled a lot of the steppe lands and that fought for hundreds of years with the sedentary peoples of China, especially the Han Empire. And the Han Empire eventually defeated Xiongnu. Eventually the Han Empire defeated the Xiongnu confederations and took control over the eastern part of the Silk Roads. But the Xiongnu gave a long-lasting legacy to world history because it is thought that the Xiongnu confederation spoke a kind of proto-Turkic language and possibly, though debated, a Proto-Mongolian language that in its descent gave rise to the two great linguistic families of the central and the eastern Eurasian steppe lands. The Turkish-speaking peoples of the central steppe lands and the Mongol-speaking people of the eastern steppe lands. And it was the Mongols and the Turks who would write much of the history and guide much of the history of the succeeding 1,500 years. So the Mongol and the Turkish peoples who lived along the Eurasian steppe lands and played a central part in the long-distance east-west trade, played a central part, that is, in the Silk Roads, and engaged in a tremendous amount of warfare over the succeeding centuries, both among themselves and also with the more sedentary populations and large settlements to their south. And we are here right at that juncture of the Turkic and the Mongol empires and their legacy. In the year 1206, a absolutely pivotal event took place in world history when a Mongol warrior and chieftain was able to gather the Mongol tribes under his authority and to have himself proclaimed the king of the Mongols, the leader of the Mongols, and that of course was Genghis Khan. And Genghis Khan from that point engaged in a remarkable series of expansionary wars that led to the creation of the largest land-based contiguous empire in human history. The Mongol Empire spread all the way to Eastern Europe. It spread as far north as the Russian lands today. It conquered today's Persia and the Middle East, and it conquered Central Asia and China. So this vast empire that was created by Genghis Khan and his sons and later generations of Mongols was a vast area uniting under the Mongol authority this vast Eurasian lands and, of course, the control over east-west trade. The wars of conquest were extraordinarily violent. Great cities were destroyed in the process. Baghdad, for example, the capital of the Abbasid Caliphate, the Arabic Islamic rule, completely destroyed by the Mongols, and Samarkand, also laid to waste by the Mongol conquests. But past the conquests, with this unity of empire, came a vast flourishing of economic life and cultural interchange. The Mongols were very syncretic in their religious tastes. They themselves, it is thought, had a kind of belief in a heaven called Tengrism, and Tengrism was the Mongol original religion, but many religions were, of course, part of this vast empire, and many religions flourished and spread during this period. Nestorian Christianity, Judaism, with a lot of Jewish merchants, in fact, trading along the Silk Roads, Islam, of course, and other religions. And step by step, the Mongols themselves in the various parts of the empire would convert to Islam and bring Islam, or solidify and extend the dominance of Islam throughout much of their realms. When Genghis Khan died, the empire was divided among his sons, and as time went on, they feuded and went to war, and the single Mongol empire broke into 4 khanates, or 4 kingdoms. One was the kingdom that ruled over China, the Yuan dynasty, from around 1270 to around 1370, roughly 1 century of Mongol rule. In the middle part of the kingdom, the Central Asian part of the Mongol Empire, the Chagatai Khanate ruled. In the southwest part of the empire, it was the Ilkhanate ruling over what is today Iran and what was then Mesopotamia, or today Iraq. And in the northwest part of the empire was the Golden Horde. This is the Khanate of the Mongols that ruled over what is much of today's Russia, especially the Russia west of the Urals. And at the time, it was a very mixed population of Georgians, Armenians, Circassians, Mongols, Turks, Arabs, and those who would become the Russians of later times. So these 4 Mongol empires followed the unified empire of Genghis Khan. And one by one, these empires in turn either were repulsed by other powers or themselves evolved in a decisive way. In China, the Yuan dynasty was conquered by the succeeding Ming dynasty, a Han Chinese dynasty, which pushed out the Mongol rulers. In the Golden Horde, Russian princes eventually defeated in battle the Mongol rulers. In the Ilkhanate, in Persia, eventually Persian powers and Turco-Mongol powers came and succeeded the Ilkhanate.